Welcome to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 102 of The Joy of Coding. I'm sorry for that little silly hiccup at the beginning here. I'm not sure what happened. Wacky Morning DJ decided to fail on me, and I couldn't play any sounds. But I'm here. Hey. Alright, and we can play sounds. So, it's episode 102. Let's get down to business. What are we doing today? Boop. Here's my screen. Here's the agenda. It's June 14th. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I'm going to try and do some stuff today, but none of this is like scripted in any way. I'm just making stuff up as I go. I'm going to be, like, if you watched last week's episode, you'll know I got nowhere for most of the episode. And that wasn't part of the plan, but you know, that's sometimes just how it goes. We're trying to capture the real software engineering experience, and, you know, that is what happened. So, no plan survives breakfast. We'll do our best. This agenda that we're looking at is actually available to you. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, scroll down to the additional links section. Bam! There's your link. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the video description. Bam! There's a link. If you're watching this on Twitch, check the chat in just a second. Bam! There's the link. If you're watching this on, what's the last one? YouTube. I think that's, yeah, there's a video website called YouTube. If you're watching, no, I already said that one. Facebook? Did I say Facebook? It's Facebook. Yeah, that's a website too. If you're watching this on Facebook, yeah, it's in a pinned comment near this video that you're watching, hopefully. So, what do we want to do today? Well, first of all, I'm going to do a quick check to make sure everything's still working. I'm not dropping frames. I'm recording. Audio's working, the sounds are working, and I also want to give a sort of a plug to another show I've been doing called The Joy of Profiling. We're 2 episodes in, where in this show I take performance profiles, which are these things that users of Firefox can gather whenever Firefox is performing poorly, and then myself and other engineers examine those profiles live and try and find discoveries in them and bugs that we can file and things that we might be able to fix. So if that interests you, The Joy of Profiling, The Joy of Profiling, there were 2 pilots here, but the actual episodes 1 and 2 are now up. Here's episode 2. I'll put links to these episodes in the agenda. Episode 1 and episode 2. I'm probably going to stop plugging this show soon once it picks up more steam. But for the next little while, expect me to mention it at the beginning of this stream. Okay, so let's see. Also, I have an episode guide. Speaking of episodes, there's an episode guide to The Joy of Coding. It doesn't have too many entries in it. It's got like the first episode maybe, and the 77th and the 98th. And this is something that you, the viewing community, may want to contribute to. You can upload a copy of the agenda if you'd like, or maybe some of your own notes about what I did, maybe a total audio transcript. Who knows? This is sort of your resource to cobble together stuff that is useful to you, or maybe might be useful to other people who are watching these episodes. And so if you're watching episodes 177 or 98 in the future, maybe check the episode guide out. And who knows, maybe by the time you're watching this episode, there's going to be a guide for it. So do check out the repository. I am very liberal in accepting pull requests, so do send me pull requests if you want to add stuff. I'm not really adding anything. Who knows, maybe down the line I'll like write a script that converts all of my agendas and stuff to the media, was it markdown format. But for now, it's all just kind of do how you will. So there's the episode guide. I also want to give one last update about something we were working on last week. It was so frustrating. It was this tab paint regression that we were dealing with, and I think I fixed it. I think it was a couple of days after Wednesday. It may have been, what day was it? It was it was on the 8th, so it was the day after our episode 101. And what I ended up doing was looking at the timestamp of the paint event plus the fetch start. I could have used fetch start. You could also use navigation start. I've actually filed a bug to switch over to using navigation start since that's sometimes clearer. And that seems to have done the job. Oh, and we also need to account for the possibility that the Moz after paint will fire with an empty rect. That was the last piece of the puzzle. It was this thing right here. That's what was bugging me. It's the possibility that a Moz after paint event will fire with an empty rect. And I found out, and I feel like I knew this. I had known this at some point. I even wrote an email about it to Mozilla mailing list, but I must have forgotten. I had assumed that the Moz after paint event is fired after the content process, in the case of E10S anyways, after the content process has done a paint and uploaded things to the compositor. That's not true. That is not true at all. It's only half the job. The other, you paint, you upload to the compositor, then the compositor composites, and when the compositor composites, it tells the parent, which sends a message back down to the content saying, hey, I composited a thing. Here's a Moz after paint event if you happen to be on screen right now. And so Moz after paint means something was composited. It might, and you were on screen at the time. Maybe nothing in the window that we're in was composited, in which case we'll get a 0-dimension rect for things that had been invalidated. But it does mean something was composited, and we have to handle that case in this test. And that's what I didn't realize last week. That's why we're getting a Moz after paint event kind of early. And so there you go. That was the solution. Okay, so what are we doing today? Now that I've talked for 7 minutes, what are we doing? I want to write a test today. So the Firefox engineering team has been working very hard to make the browser smoother, more performant, faster, and just feel better, feel faster. And that means doing work to not only implement new things in ways that are optimal and we can animate smoothly always on the GPU, but it also means making sure we don't regress performance in certain places where we know it's critically important that things either get better or don't get worse at the very least. The bare minimum is don't get worse. And if you can get better, great. So one of the things that we've been doing in the front-end team anyways is writing a series of tests for various interactions in the browser, reflow tests. So these are tests that detect when JavaScript causes a synchronous layout flush to occur. If you're not sure what a synchronous layout flush is, I have a document here you might want to read. Detecting and avoiding synchronous reflow. Detecting and avoiding synchronous reflow. If you're curious about what it is that we're dealing with, what we're testing for, and why it's bad, you should read this document because I wrote all about it. And I also sort of mention ways that you can get around the problem. So what I want to do today is write a test to do a simple location bar. Like using the awesome bar is a very, very frequent activity for users. I don't think there can be any doubt about that. You type stuff in the awesome bar. Sometimes you use like the search input. You'll go to like about home or something. You'll search here, but oftentimes you'll go here and you get to take advantage of like the amazing autocomplete stuff that we've got going on here. I think it's best in class in terms of like with respect to the rest of the browser landscape. I think Firefox's awesome bar is amazing and better than the rest. And we want to make sure that it's fast. So I want to write tests for what happens whenever you start typing in a word here like CBC, and then all these results show up. And I want to ensure that we don't regress front-end performance while we do that. So in terms of synchronous reflows. So that's what we're doing today. That's the job. So if you want to follow along, like there's a bug here, bug 1356271. That's where I'm going to be posting my patch. This is where I'm going to be taking my notes because I've got notes for this bug. They're empty right now, but I'm going to start now. And let me pump up the font. Going to start now. Woo! Okay, so let's get started. I've got a fresh build of Firefox here, or a fresh build of Nightly. Well, let me pump up the font again and shrink the window. The first thing I want to do is actually create the test file, and whenever we create a test like this, these performance tests, where we've been putting them is under this directory, browser-based content test performance. We already have a bunch of stuff in there for a bunch of what we call like critical user interactions or key user interactions, like switching tabs, opening tabs, closing tabs, the browser starting up, opening the menu, etc., etc. And so we're going to add a new one here. So let's just create a new file. I'm going to call it browser location bar search.js. We'll call it that for now. And this is an empty file, does not exist yet. But what I like to do whenever I create one of these things is, first of all, I say use strict at the top. Then I like to describe what the file will be doing. So we're going to be ensures that, or hang on. I like to also keep it consistent with the rest of the reflow tests we've been writing. So let me just take a look and see what else we've been putting on the top. Performance. Well, I guess what we normally do is put the expected reflows at the top. So let's do that as well. Whoa, my brain. What? There's supposed to be a file here. It's called browser location bar. Where is it? Oh, you know what? I haven't saved it yet. That's why. I have to save it. And then it will be to disk. So it'd probably be here. Save. What might help is if I close everything else so that I don't have all this garbage in here. Don't need it, don't need it, don't need it, don't need it. Okay, so that's going to help organize things a little bit. And we're going to put the expected reflows at the top. And now the description of the test, which if we look at the I like this one. So what do we say? Ensures that there are no unexpected uninterruptible reflows when doing a search in the location bar. Okay. And then we add task, async function. And there, we've got our stubbed out test file. I'm just going to do a simple assert here like, woo, we are working. Now the last thing we have to do is we have to add the test to the list of tests in browser.ini. So I like to put that in here in alphabetical order. Browser location bar search.js. And then we're going to do a quick build faster, which is going to cause our build infrastructure to figure out that the test is there and put it in the right spot. So it's going to reticulate some splines. Think about it a little. Probably do way more work than it needs to. Oh, you probably can't see that. Let me drag that up. There you go. And then we're going to say mock moki test. We're going to run the test. And it's not going to do much, but it should run, and we should see the browser open, the browser close, and then it should say that we passed our one assertion, which our one assertion is very simple. It's just assert true, assert OK true, which will always be true. So the browser opens, browser closes, we passed our one assertion. Great. So now let's do the real work. Now here's the thing. Full admission is that I've never written a location bar test before. That's right. But I know that there are other location bar searches in the tree that we can use for inspiration. And the reason I want to do that is I want to make sure that I test it the right way, and that I test it the way we test it in like other scenarios. So there are a bunch of URL bar tests, and maybe that's another thing. Maybe I should rename this to URL bar. So to do rename test to browser URL bar search.js, and then probably reflows because I've been doing that for the other tests as well. So let's take a look at any one of these. URL bar search suggestions. That's when it turns on search suggestions. Promise autocomplete result pop-up. That sounds like it's going to be handy when we focus it. And then it's going to want a first suggestion. Okay, so there are a lot of utilities here that we might find useful. Browser URL bar, auto select. What's in here? We get the number of maximum results. Repeat. What's repeat? Oh, it's just a little utility there, and then we put a bunch of visits in places in our test utils. Okay, so that's good. So now we know how to we can sort of pretend we've been places, and then we can promise an autocomplete result pop-up. And that might be enough. So here's the way I'm thinking of it. Test design. So what we're going to do is populate places with some visits. Type in, or maybe we can do this in a couple of different tests. Like type in the location bar with no places visits by default. Type in the location bar with several places visits. Type in the location bar while pop-up is open. Like, how does the location bar work if I type in C? Yeah, it's like every single character it's going to come up. So maybe that's kind of a given. And I wonder if there are any like tests in here that like, yeah, they synthesize keys. Synthesize key. Maybe we should see more of those. So browser base content test URL bar. Let's find all of these synthesized keys. Are there any? Yeah, here. URL bar search suggestions. Enter race. Not as many as I thought. What's this? Let's look at this one. Oops. What happens in here? We put some bookmarks in, and then promise autocomplete result pop-up, and then you pass it a string. What is, I feel like we need to know what this is. Promise autocomplete result pop-up. I suspect that's going to be useful. The problem is I also don't think we're going to have access to it. I have a feeling we're going to essentially have to recreate this. And the way it works is wait for condition search is complete. what it does is focuses the window, focuses the URL bar, sets the value to the input text, and if we're supposed to fire the input event, we manually dispatch the input event, then we tell the URL bar to start the search, and then we resolve whenever the search bar, the URL bar controller search status is greater or equal to status complete no match. After the pop-up has shown. Okay. Okay. Part of me wonders if it'd be useful to move that sort of thing into a more common directory. Here, it was re-implemented over here. Yeah, it's been re-implemented again. But this one's simpler. Focus, set the input text, start the search, await the pop-up shown, and then await. So I have a feeling we can probably just get away with doing this again. Let's do this. I'm essentially going to copy paste this. I'm exactly going to copy paste this. And I'm going to do add documentation. We'll get there. So this should allow us to like type some stuff in the URL bar. And now what we could do, there are no unexpected uninterruptible reflows when typing into the URL bar when they're with the default values in places. Okay. So the way we write these reflow tests is there's this utility called await with reflow observer, and that's what we essentially want to do. I want to use a reflow observer and then say await promise autocomplete result pop-up Mozilla. What happens when I do that? Let's see what it thinks of this. Let's just run that. Mock Moki test, browser-based content test performance, browser location bar search. Beach Jar is having to watch YouTube because his work blocks Twitch. Where are you working now, Beach Jar? Where are you working these days? I'm curious. I didn't even get to see what happened just now. What happened? Unexpected uninterruptible reflow. Oh, that's fine because we didn't tell. There aren't any that we do expect. We have said that we expect none. So that's actually not unexpected. It'd be great if the awesome bar appeared. Oh, promise pop-up shown. That's not exactly a thing that exists. This function. So I think we're gonna have to do await browser test utils wait for event pop-up shown. I think that's what you have to do. Development for Dow Chemical in Chicago. Cool. Congrats. Beach Jar, I worked with Beach Jar when he was a student at Michigan State. So I'm glad to hear you're working at somewhere cool now. Dow Chemical in Chicago. Awesome. So that was a lot of unexpected reflows. It was how many? When we did that search, it was humongous. This list is ginormous. I think it was something like 200 more. It's like more than my log can hold. So output.log. Well, we're gonna record the output. And how many did we get? Fail. Pass. Passed 0. Failed 286. Let's see if that's consistent. I really hope it is. So 286 is the number that I'm hoping that we hit every time. Because if so, it means, heck, there are a lot of reflows here, but at least it's consistent. So passed 292. No. Okay, so we have some non-determinism here. That is going to be a challenge. The number of reflows is different. Shoot. So this number was different than the number we saw before, and I'll bet if I run this again, it'll be different again. So 292. Let's see if we can find a pattern. Like, what does this number tend to drift? 280. What is it now? 273. Okay, so it's always in the kind of 200s, but the error bars are pretty huge, which is a pain. Because the way that these tests are designed is to be deterministic. Now, I wonder if one of the things we could do, 274, I wonder if one of the things we could do is to put, so the way the Reflow Observer works is it takes some default arguments, expected stacks, the window, and the element to dirty. I wonder if we're dirtying the wrong element. And I'll explain what that means in a second. URL bar pop-up. And what did that cost us? Past 275. We'll run it again. Let's see if the numbers have become consistent yet. $274. Okay, getting closer. Like they're at least more like they're in the 2.7 group. 253. Okay, now that's way different. Notice that results showed up that time. That was kind of weird. $268. So still moving around a lot. I think what might be happening is that even though the search is complete, I need to research the URL bar more. Complete. Another thing we should be doing is looking at the actual stacks of these reflows, and then we can start like getting them into our expected reflow list, because that's what's going to fix all these failures, is putting them in the expected reflows, because it is expected that there will be reflows. It's just that we need to actually get them down so that we don't cause that number to grow or shrink. Pop up. Open autocomplete pop up. And then like, what were we doing before? We were waiting until autocomplete controller search status changes. Search status isn't even mentioned here. And search status over here when the search status completes. Autocomplete controller. Return. Bar dot controller dot, like, do I stop the search here? Makes me wonder. Stop search. Whether or not that helps to even out the numbers a little bit. I'm just guessing right now. Notice that all those results showed up too. That was weird. And the past 260. One more time. Let's see what happens to the numbers and then. Okay. 268. Alright. Well, what I'm going to start doing actually is looking at some of these stacks. We adjust the height a lot. Adjust height, adjust height. We overflow. We overflow. Then we underflow, handle overflow. Handle overflow, handle overflow. These are all the same. So a result comes in. And then we, 2400, then 2401, then 2402, wow, then 2403, and 2404. Autocomplete.xml handle overflow seems to like cause a lot of reflow. 24. Whoops. Control 2404. Oh, yeah. Look at all these get bound and client rects that we're doing. We get the size of all these things. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least. All in a row. Not amazing. But at least it means we're catching real things. Okay, so we can start putting some of these in here. Let's start actually at the very top. The first one we get, the first uninterruptible reflow, is this one. What? Promise. In the test itself, line 22, when we focus. Interesting. Some of this I wonder if we're going to have to put outside the test, like that. That might help. So let's run the test again. What happened there? Oh, it doesn't know what input text is. Um, Let input text equal Mozilla. Just do that actually. Okay, looking at the log now. That looks more like it. First of all, we have this chunk of stack. Notify results from unified complete. So we'll start there. The way these work is it's an array of arrays, and we get rid of the line numbers because those can be pretty volatile. We just have the sort of the function signatures. So that takes care of the first one. And excuse me, we're going to just be doing this for a while. So that's one. There's two. Set pop-up open. There's two of them. And then what happens? We rebuild. I'll just drag that over. There's probably a nice way I could like... Actually, the signature is very similar to what we use for Oh No Reflow. I wonder if there's a... Let me try a thing. Not really. That didn't really help. Maybe I copied it wrong though. Let me just copy that chunk. Oh, and get rid of the quotes probably. I think I can do this. Hold on. Okay. Now, like that. Will it accept that? No, it won't. I don't know what the dealio is with Oh No Reflow's signature generator. I thought I designed it to split. Huh. What's your problem? Ah, it's the commas. That's weird. Okay, though. So now I should be able to put that in there. And then this. Why is there an omega symbol there? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I think I put there by accident. Okay, well, I can drop that in here. So, a little bit of a workflow now. What's the next one? This one, rebuild, set pop-up. Is that the same thing? Yep. So do that again. This time it might be a different line, but it's the same file. 1585, and before it was still 1585. So we hit it again, maybe in a different tick of the event loop. And then we adjust the height. Okay. Oh, what am I doing? I should be copying that. We adjust the height, and then what? I think we adjust the height for a while. We did this one, now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's run the test again, see what happens. We should get a number of passes now that we see the expected reflows that we wanted, or some expected reflows that we wanted. So we should actually see some things under passed. What? 0 passed? Unused, unexpected reflow, it should complain. Oh, you know why? Aha, I'm not passing the expected reflows. There we go. So let's run it again. We get 9 passes and 249 failures. So we're making our way. Making our way downtown. No pass. Test unexpected. Let's find the first one that we didn't expect. This invalidation. We're gonna drop that in. We're gonna strip off all those commas first. And the quote. Then we'll drop that in our tool. And we'll copy that. And all right, so there's another one. So this is going to be a bit of grunt work. Hope that's okay. I might be able to like write a tool to do this, but I don't know if it'd be worth it. Now this is the same. How many more are the same? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 more. That's crazy, but all right. 1, 2, 3, whoops. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Let's run the test again, see what happens. Eventually we're going to narrow in on the ones that are only showing up sometimes, and then we'll have a real mystery on our hands. How we're going to deal with that, I don't know. All right, so now we have 21 passes. That's good. 237 failures. We're going to be here for a while, folks. This was the first unexpected failure. So that's where we were. Handle overflow again, 2404. So 1, Same thing, 1, and then adjust icon start. So this handle overflow wasn't there before, and I wonder if that's one of the things that is volatile. So I'm actually going to put a little star above it. Star. Star you. And let's move on. We've got this adjust icon start. Next is handle overflow again. 1, 2. Let's just see how many times this shows up. Maybe we can save ourselves some time. Found 446 matches. Oh boy. Well, how about we do this? Let's just repeat it until we start getting complaints of unused overflow reflows, unused unused expected reflows. So I'm just gonna add like a whole bunch. Just copy that chunk again. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see if it complains that there are some unused unexpected reflows. If so, we'll start dialing that back a little bit. Unused expected. No. Wow, okay. And we have 134 passes. Jeez. Okay, so I guess there are more. Let's just do that a couple more times. I think we found our main culprit. 204. And no one used yet. Okay, now we have some unused expected reflows. How many? 84. So we need to remove 84. 1, 2. I'm not going to count all the way up to 84. I'm just going to do this for a while. There's no way that was 84. Maybe we're close to halfway now. Let's see what happens. But the number is also volatile. We have to keep that in mind as well. So I want to get close and then see how the numbers shift from run to run. Didn't find it. Interesting. Alright, well, let's stay there for a little while. 187. Here's your adjust icon start. Another one of those. Another one. Another one. Another one. Alright. Let's see how many of those we need. $192 unused unexpected reflows. We have one. Adjust site icon, so we can get rid of one of those. And then what's next? Start right from the top. Handle overflow again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So let's add 13 more. 3, 4, 5, 6. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 5. 5, 10, and now 3 more. 3 more. Okay. This set of expected stacks is humongous. This is ridiculous. This set of expected reflows. Here's another handle overflow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 more. Seems to come in packs of 13. That's weird and unlikely. Such a weird number. How we doing? So the adjust icon site start sometimes shows up, sometimes it doesn't. When we invalidate, autocomplete, when is autocomplete invalidated? Probably from native code. I worry that part of the reason that we're seeing such wild variation is because we're not dirtying the DOM at the right times. Pop up invalidate, let me give it an, this could happen. Why? In process result. In process result can be fired from handle search result. Handle search result is called from on search result or on update search result. And that layout inspector. Autocomplete observer. I wonder if we could dirty on that as well. Yeah, that's true. So Barrett has pointed out that I'm getting different numbers on search results. And that's kind of what I'm trying to deal with right now. So the way, maybe I should explain this now. So the way browsers work is we have this like 16 millisecond window where we run JavaScript, we compute styles, we compute layout, we paint, and then we do it all over again. That's the life cycle of getting pixels to the screen in a web browser. Boom, 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 and then yeah, there's the compositing step. But that usually happens on a different thread or in a different process. But that is a step. Now, the problem is, or what we're trying to do is make it so that any opportunity, oh, hang on. Synchronous layout occurs whenever you cause layout to flush or layout to need to be computed before the actual layout step. And that happens whenever you use JavaScript APIs which cause you to request information from the browser about the size, position, or style of things. If you request style information only, that's slightly less expensive. But if you request size or position of things, then that can cause a layout flush. And I say can because every time we do this tick, we've computed layout for everything that's changed for the DOM. And at the beginning of the JavaScript step, you can't really see my finger, but follow along with the cursor. When we go back to the JavaScript step, if we compute or query the JavaScript, the browser engine for the size or position of things here, it will smartly use the cached values that it computed from the last time we computed layout. So that's good and that's fast. It's not always a bad thing to request size, position, or style of things. What you want to do though is make sure you always do it at the beginning of the step before the DOM has been dirtied. That's the key. If the DOM has been dirtied, if you've like set an attribute or you've added a bunch of nodes or you've changed a class with JavaScript or something, and then you request style or layout information, then we have to like go and do the style and layout flushing, come back into JavaScript with the result, and then who knows, you might do that a bunch of times. And that is kind of what we're attempting to simulate. The with Reflow observer helper is supposed to be trying to make it so that the DOM is like constantly dirty. So that anytime we attempt to do style or layout flushing, or like the JavaScript attempts to get size, position, or style of things, it finds out that the layout or style information needs to be flushed. Like we're trying to simulate the worst case scenario, which is that the DOM is always dirty. And the way that the with Reflow Observer does it is, I think, not helping us for the search bar case. I'll show you how it does it. How it does it is, well, first of all, we have this little helper function that like fiddles with a margin of an element every time we want to dirty a frame. And we want to dirty, like, we sometimes want to dirty more than once a frame because you want to simulate the possibility that every time you've caused a sync reflow, you then dirty the DOM so that the next time size or positions of things are requested, we cause another sync reflow. We essentially want to simulate layout thrashing. And the way I do that is I add with a sort of a privileged API that privileged JavaScript for Firefox has, we have this listener for every event. So I can add a listener for every event. Click events, mouse events, resize events, all events. And I say every time one of those events is about to fire, because all event listeners are always serviced before standard event listeners. Anytime one of those is about to fire, dirty the frame. And every time you see a reflow occur, dirty the frame. Now, I suspect that takes care of a good chunk of our of our possibilities for things like tab opening, tab closing, window opening, etc. that we've been writing tests for. But for searching, there is another way, there's another path for us to be running JavaScript besides using events. Because oftentimes JavaScript is run off of events. An event fires, an event handler runs, JavaScript runs. But in this case, for searching, it's not kicked off due to an event, which means that this thing is not running, the all event listener. Instead, our calling of JavaScript is occurring because of this function over here. Like we're getting some search results from SQLite or something, and then that causes that message probably came to us off of the main thread. We're back on the main thread over here, and then we call into JavaScript by asking the pop-up to invalidate. And this maps to our invalidate function in autocomplete, autocomplete.xml, which is this thing. I think it's this one right here. So what we need to do is we need to hook things up so that we attempt to, I think this is what we want to do. If there is a, I want to make it so that anytime a search result shows up, we've dirtied the DOM before the search result is processed by autocomplete.xml. That's the goal. Pardon me, I need to blow my nose. Reach. Pardon me. Let me just take the headset off so you don't have to hear me do this. I'll play you some music. Let's see. Is the music playing? I can't tell. It's not. It was supposed to be music, but you didn't get any, I'm afraid. Maybe next time. Wacky Morning DJ is misbehaving today.
Mamma mia!
There we go. So is there a way I can add a search result, an NSI autocomplete observer? I think probably. Let's see if we can find... See if I can find usages of autocomplete observer. It seems like you have to pass it to start search. Oh, no. So it casts itself as an autocomplete observer. And then what does it do? Handle search result, of course. Process result, of course. Do we ever like fire an event? We don't fire an event, but do we ever like give me a hook for like before the invalidation? Doesn't look like it. For searches, handle search result. An NS autocomplete controller itself doesn't have something I can attach listeners to, does it? Before searches, what's that? After searches, it's before searches. Ooh, notify the input that the search is beginning. That's interesting. What else do we... On search complete. That's not exactly what we want. Want to know when there are results. So autocomplete observer, autocomplete controller. Search complete. Well, exactly. We don't exactly want search complete. We want anytime there's a search result. Like, hmm. So one idea is to override the invalidate method on the autocomplete binding on search result. What is this ini search observer? INI search observer. No, I think that's something else. Let's not worry about that. Listener. Then there's unified complete. What's unified complete? This listener. Autocomplete listener equals what? Hmm. On results ready. It's like you can only hook up an observer, a search result observer, whenever you initiate the search. You can't just like add one willy-nilly. It's too bad. Oh, wait a second. Don't we start search in the test somehow? GURL bar controller start search. Couldn't we? G controller. So autocomplete controller. Ah, no, you can only pass it a string here. No such luck. And on the input, I doubt it, but maybe. No. And on the pop-up, I think my best solution is actually to make it so that when we call here, test function, we'll call dirty frame function. And then what I'll do is GURL bar let old invalidate equal GURL bar dot, I think it's just GURL bar dot popup dot invalidate. Yeah. Popup dot invalidate. And then register cleanup function GURL bar dot popup dot invalidate equals old invalidate. And then I'll say for now GURL bar dot popup dot invalidate equals reason. Whoops. Old invalidate reason. I'm also going to run our dirty frame function first. So what happens when I do that? Oh, a bunch of unused unexpected reflows. Only 9 passes. Lots of failures. A lot of unused unexpected reflows. That's interesting. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to expected reflows old. For now, let's do a little bit of surgery here. What happens whenever I hand it an empty list? What are the reflows that we get? Not as many, which to me smells a little funky. Especially because I don't see any of the search result ones. But I do see things like the new tab one. I should probably get rid of that. I should probably make this just like something that always happens when we run the reflow tests. Like no results ever show up there, and I wonder why that is. I wonder if I did my wrapping wrong. In fact, let's make sure. Dump. Hello? I'm just going to say M. Conley, invalidate called. That's a little more professional. Yeah, it's being called. That's good. But like, I don't think it's being called enough. Is it? Validate called. Dirty frame function called. Dirtying the frame now. Dump, done dirtying the frame. Dirtying the frame, invalidate. Validate. See, these should be causing reflows. I'm assuming. Because like, what was the old stack? Something like validate handle overflow should be called. Except that no results are showing up. That's the thing. Whenever we run this test, I'm not seeing any results. What happens if this resolve set timeout resolve. I'm not sure if you can see that at the bottom of my screen here. I've made it so that we're going to wait for 5 seconds before the end of the test. Are results eventually going to come up? No, they don't. Why? Why don't results ever come up? Like, that's the problem. So I'm going to run it with the JS debugger, and I'm going to say keep the session open whenever the test is done. Maybe I'll run the test again. This time, going to run invalidate. Run the test again. That did not work as planned. I wonder, hang on. I wonder if it's because .bind. Could that be it? The function is bound to the wrong this? Yes, that's the problem. Lots of failures. That's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna remove our logging now. It's working more or less as expected. And now it seems, we should be dirtying the frame for search results as well. And so I wonder now if our pass-fail numbers are going to be a little cleaner. If they're going to be just a little more reliable. Let's find out. So 254. That's the number to match. 254. Fingers crossed. I got a bad feeling. 272. Grrr. And what's the difference? If it's not... How many copies of Invalidate are there? Find all. 996 matches. Is that at least consistent? The Invalidate calls... 996, eh? This is always the problem with the reflow tests. $950. No. What is the deal? Noticed in that last run, again, we didn't see all the results finish showing up. Like there we see them all showing up. And what's our number? And 956 matches on Invalidate and 245 failures. Makes me wonder if there are timers. Is there a timer inside autocomplete maybe that's firing? Or like set timeout? Aha. Haha. Set timeout. Adjust height timeout. That's another thing maybe we should be overriding. Win.set timeout. Let old timeout equal win.set timeout. Win.set timeout equals and then it takes a function and a time, and then we do a dirty frame function. Actually, how will we do this? Set time old timeout time function. Then register cleanup function. I'll hack all this back. Let's see what's going on there now. $251. I want consistent numbers here. $248. That's pretty close. I wonder if there are just a couple of edges. Let's see if what the error bar is here. $248. That's getting pretty stable. $248. Hey, all right. Now we also have to deal with the clearing of intervals as well. I suspect that might have something to do with instability. 248. Hey, we got ourselves a more stable number. That's good. Clear timeout. Yeah, there's a clearing of timeouts. So we somehow need to. Um, we need to return. That's what it is, or that might be part of it. Set timeout returns a thing. Set timeout equals function return. Return the old timeout. Now that was a weird search result. I didn't like that. 272. That was a weird search result, people. That's what I like to see. 251. 254. 263. Okay. I feel like the numbers have stabilized at least a little bit. 243. Okay, maybe not so much. $244. Jeez. All right. So not amazing. How about I put back this value, this set of old reflows though. Maybe that will help me figure out which ones are coming and going, and that'll help me figure out maybe where this non-determinism is coming from. $192 failed. Adjust site icon start. Two matches it wants me to get rid of like a bunch of these. Like we're dancing around it a little bit. The numbers are fluid. It's really actually quite unfortunate. I wonder if my mouse being near there is a problem as well. 193. Adjust site icon start. How many? 32. Get rid of 32 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 21, 2, 3, 4, 3. Right? $186 failed 71. Okay, so no unused unexpected reflows. And let me run that a couple times, see if any unused unexpected reflows show up, and if not, well, at least we have a stable number to work with. Good. $186. 186 always pass. For the number that we fail. So we've got a pretty stable number. Alright, I think that's a pretty good place to stop it for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching episode 102 of The Joy of Coding. We made a little bit of forward progress today. It's sometimes frustrating to deal with non-determinism, especially when you're writing a test. Non-determinism is the bane of a test writer's existence. And so I'm hopefully going to get my head wrapped around all of the non-determinism that exists in this sort of scenario and find ways of overriding, I don't know. Try to find some way of making it so that we have a consistent set of steps that occur whenever we show this pop-up. And on that note, I'm going to call it. So thanks so much for watching episode 102. If you enjoyed this episode, or even if you didn't enjoy this episode, I want to know about it. Whoop, let me go back to my screen. There is a rate this episode link here in the agenda. And I want you to let me know what you thought of this episode. I'm going to drop that in the Twitch chat. Boom, it's in the Twitch chat. Tell me what you thought. I read all of the ratings that come in, and I try and incorporate the feedback that I think is useful. So thanks again for watching episode 102. Take care. I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.